Hi, today's March 28th. We're in Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. This is Dos Cabezas campground. We're gonna head down here, this trail down to the Dos Cabezas Spring and mining camp, little railroad construction camp too, and check out the wildflowers and all the beautiful tamarisk plants we have. Down here, this guy's a brittle bush. It's an Encilia genus. And this trail is about, I don't know, I think it's 2 or 3 miles. So I hope you can join me. This little tiny white flowering plant, it's called a cryptantha. You see them all over the place up here. It's got these little long stems, like a little barrage, almost like a fiddle neck. See that? Little tiny white petals, yellow insides. So this guy here in our trail is called a broom rape. He's got beautiful little purple flowers there. Wow. This guy's a parasite. He's a root parasite. He sends down his own roots underground. He attaches to a neighboring plant like this guy, a little shrub. His roots, and he'll just attach in there, and he'll suck all the juices and nutrients out of his host. That's how this guy survives out here in the desert. This little cactus here is a hedgehog cactus. Echinocerius ingomanii. His main little spine is always white and long. The one right in the middle of the aerial, see? He's the white one here. Our little cactus here is called a wolf's cholla. Cylindropuntia wolfii. You know him because he's got longer segments. They're like a silver cholla. And they're upright. See how they're upright here? Lots and lots of spines. But best to see his flower here. He's got all these beautiful red stamens, yellow anthers, and here, oh, get the sun right. You get the stigma and the style, the ovaries. Look at that little guy right there. If you touch him, he tends to curl in a little bit. I'll touch it with my finger. He likes to, there he goes. See that? He kind of moves by himself. That's how he envelopes his little pollinator, like a bee. He's really cute. He's all over the place up here. We got a bunch of Cylindropuntia cholla plants, so you got to make sure you know which ones they are. And they drop their stems down here, like this guy here, he dropped. This guy here dropped. So a little animal will come by, it'll get stuck in his fur. He'll carry it up the road and drop it somewhere else, well, he'll just start to regrow. It's our wolf's cholla. So along the trail, you're going to find a lot of old cans and debris like this from the miners and the trail of the train station. Look at all of our ocotillos, or ocotillos, either way. That's okay. Fukiaria splendens is his scientific name. So after it rains, he's got these beautiful green leaves that come out. They're super short-lived, and they'll fall off. And he might kind of relieve, I don't know, 6 or 7 times a year based on the rainfall. Comes out, you got all these sticks coming out here. You get like 20, 30 feet tall. You have beautiful flowers way up on the top. And the leaves fall off. He's got chlorophyll in the stems, so he can still do photosynthesis without leaves. Look at an amazing place here. This whole forest here. Right. A lot of chollas, ambrosia demosas. Here's a Laria tridentata, creosote bush. Here's a ocotillo that fell down. He died. See that right there? Out here's the windmill farm in the distance, way out there. And we'll continue on the trail. Here's our jojoba. These beautiful leaves here, unmistakably little jojoba. This is where you get your soap from, like your jojoba soap. Get them out of this plant here. He loves it out here in our desert. Wow. This guy here is called desert tea, sometimes Mormon tea. He's an ephedra. You know who he is because he's got segments. I'm going to break them off here. No, I'm not going to break them off. He's got segments here. So segment, segment, segment on the little sticky stems. He's got these little bulbs here. Little bulbous structures. This guy's got a tiny little flower coming in. Look at that. Mormon tea. This little jojoba here, it's kind of messy looking, but he's flowering. Look at that. Tiny little yellow clusters of flowers. This guy here. This purple guy here, this is a cleft leaf Phacelia. Member of the barrage family. He bends up like that, like a caterpillar. Sometimes called a scorpion plant. Looks like a scorpion's tail. Phacelia crenulata. Beautiful flowers. Tiny little stamens popping up there. Check that out. These lots of Phacelias up here. And like fiddleneck sort of plants that have the same little structure. This little flowering plant here is called a rock daisy. Prettily amorii. Look how pretty this guy is. A lot of times you find them growing along the rocks where you find your bighorn sheep. Cute little plant right next to our cleft leaf Phacelia here. So always when you find a little guy in the middle of a trail, it's going to be one of our broom rapes. Right? This is the parasite with the deep roots. Beautiful little purple flowers. So he's either tapping into our creosote bush here, which I think is unlikely, but he might be tapping into a burrow bush over here, which is, that might be likely. Not sure. But you find him here, right? Like over here, you find another guy up here. Look at that right here, right in the middle. That's what he does here. Just grows right in the middle of the trail, sucking the juice out of his neighbors. Now this is our creosote bush, Laria tridentata. This is our burrow bush, Ambrosia domosa. See how they're separated? Well, this guy secretes a little enzyme through its roots that prevents this fellow from growing next to him. So you got a gap. The exception is when you have a young creosote. This is a young creosote, and he's growing next to our little burrow bush here. So he's eventually going to kill off this guy probably and take over this area. How about that? Lots and lots of debris from the railroad. These are little metal straps, of course. There's a creosote. Looks like this guy burned, but he doesn't really care. He just regrows. Super resilient. Up here we have another flowering cacti. I want to show you along the railroad tracks. Okay, this guy here. He's another one of our wolf's Dendropuntias. Wow, he's got a beautiful flower here, wolf's cholla. All right, we're gonna poke him. Better if you use your finger. See if his little stamens start to move. See that? The tracks cool. All the way to the end. This guy here is a Spanish needle. Check out these little purple flowers here at the tips of the stems. Wow, he's got this beautiful reddish rusty stem here. A little bit fuzzy and scratchy. He's got sticky needle-like leaves here. Little Spanish needle flowers. It's a great little pollinator. There's a little bee here. Get him. Wow. So this guy's all over the place. This guy here, called a desert trumpet Eriogonum inflatum. And he grows out of this basal rosette down here. He sends up these stems that then fork out. See that? They fork out and they have little tiny little flowers on the end. Some leaves up here as well. Usually they're all basal, but sometimes you find colleen leaves up the stems. More of our Spanish needle. I want to show you a real good flowering guy up here. Look at that. They flower here. Hey, this little guy, this is a chia. He's a relative of the chia pet plant. Right, he's a sage from the genus Salvia. I got a better one over here. Check out this guy. Right. Chia. He's got these pretty little flowers here. Okay. And eventually he'll become all purple when he seeds. This guy here is a great little find. He's a pygmy gold poppy. Eschscholzia unidiflora. So these tiny little flowers here. Look at that. Little poppy flowers. 4 petals. Wow. You know he's mostly a poppy? From his leaves down here. See how they look exactly like all of our other poppy leaves. Kind of, they all come out of the ground. Sort of like a basal rosette. See how they're all coming out of the ground. Essentially these long leaf stems or stalks branch out to these little pretty yellow flowers, little poppy flowers. Pygmy gold. We got them over here too. Look at that. They have to grow all over the place here. This little plant here is really bad. Here's a small one. This is Sahara mustard next to our beautiful little poppy here. Well, anyway, see this guy here? He has these mustard leaves that are edible, right? You get to eat them like a little salad, but they're better if you cook them down because you get a little bristly. He's got hairs on his stem, little flower up here. These guys get a lot taller than this, so when you see this fellow, it's okay to pull him up. But be careful you don't pull up a good plant, because that's not a good thing to do. So he's super invasive out here. Find a bigger one later on. Check this out. We got little holes here, or burrows. This is from our desert tortoise. It's right underneath the tracks, so it's really soft down here, I bet. He'll go like 10 feet down. The diameter of the hole here is going to be about the same diameter of his shell, so you can kind of tell how big they are. So there's supposed to be a gold spike driven in the railroad here somewhere. If you find it, you can take it home. There's a spike here, but I don't think it's gold. And I don't think I'm going to take it home. Maybe good for your tent. Need a little post. Here we have a filary, or a stork's bill. We call it stork's bill because the seed pods look like stork's bills. See that? Alright. He's in the genus Erodium. He's real common. Call him a weed. He grows out here, and he also grows in lots of chaparral, dried out areas all along California. So check out this on our Ocotillo here. I've never seen this before. Look at that. So one time this guy crested. This is a cresting Ocotillo. Wow. That's amazing. Kind of like our Aeoniums. Wow. He's cresting, or he crested. So sometime something sparked this guy to kind of panic or grow a little awkwardly. He sent out little stems here, which flattened. And they kind of miniature branches crested out here. Never seen that before. Here we have another desert agave. A little bit smaller, but you see his flower stalk a lot better here. Check it out. So, you know, can't even get my hand around him. He's got little spines all the way to the top here. And he'll grow, like I said, 20 feet tall. When he dies though, check this out. He's all hollow inside, just made of fibers. So he's not like a tree. It's just a bunch of fibers coming up and making this plant. There you go. This is our desert agave. Agave desertii. Some more ocotillos here. There's a little jojoba, creosote bush, and a jumping teddy bear cactus. Cylindropuntia bigelovii. He's a guy that jumps out at you when you walk by too close. And strategy is to knock off his stems, attached to a host who carries him across the desert, and he resprouts. He always kind of dies as he grows up the main trunk. And these little guys dropped off and probably just started growing right next to him. It's called a jumping teddy bear cactus. Look at this guy here. This guy, he's called a blue dix. Look at that. You find him in chaparral, desert areas, lots of washed out areas up and down California. Look at that. Super purple. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals, yellow stamen, white anthers. This guy. And he grows from a single flower stalk. But down here we have blades. Look at that, little blades here. And he grows out of a corm. Down here it's kind of like a bulb, but not really. And that corm may sit for years and years, like 10 years, before the conditions are just right with some rain. He'll pop up, make this pretty little purple flower. We had a lot of rain this winter, so maybe that's why he came up here. In our desert wash. Wow. This guy here, of course, you see him all over the place, from Sonoran Desert, Mojave Desert, California, Nevada, all the way to Las Vegas, down to Mexico. He's a creosote bush, Laria tridentata. The leaves at the end are kind of threefold, like a trident, tridentata. And he's a panacea of medicine for all the Native Americans. To say anything that penicillin would cure today, this plant can also cure for many, many more thousands of years than penicillin's been around. He starts out real branchy underneath, and he gets these beautiful, beautiful green leaves, pretty little yellow flowers, and puffy pappus-like seeds that blow away. So here's our invader, Sahara mustard. He's Brassica tornifortii, right? And I'll show you over here. He grows out of this basal rosette here. These are clearly mustard leaves. And he's different from our false mustard, who's a native. And see, he's got a lot rougher leaves here, mustard leaves. He's got a hairy little stalk, comes up, branches out. Now he's done flowering, but he's got seed pods here. There's a seed pod, and he's really gnarly up here. We don't like him, so if you pull him up, I mean, he's really in there. Here's his root, but these seeds are just going to go wild. Here's that one here. All right, just a nasty little plant. He's got yellow flowers like a normal mustard. All right, and then he'll attract lots of little pollinators. He's kind of like a shock and awe plant, so he comes up first, he flowers first, he seeds first, and then he dies. And he spreads out all the seeds before all the other plants can compete with him. So he steals all the nutrients before the other guys. So he's a really bad plant. So we're going to take him back to the campfire and burn him. So Sahara mustard, Brassica tornifortii. This little golden guy, he's called a chaparral daughter. He's a parasite. He's on our creosote bush here. Look at that. He's gonna just attaching to the stem, suck all the juice out of this plant here. All right, you see he's all mixed in there with the seeds of the other plant and the leaves. And he's got no chlorophyll in him. That's why he's all stringy and golden brown color. So he's strictly 100% parasite. Hey, we have a chupa rosa. Means hummingbird in Spanish. Check out this guy here. Wow. These little tubular flowers there. Look at that. We got one over here too. And we got one over here too. Now they're a lot more common on the other side of Anza-Borrego. But you get them up here too. Look at this big bushy guy. Unbelievable. Chupa rosa. So the hummingbirds, they like to get their little beak in there. Right, little anthers sticking up. Little lip hanging down. Got these green stems. These are pretty much a one-of-a-kind plant up here. So you can't miss them. In Anza-Borrego here, our chupa rosa. These little guys are black harvester ants. Let's see what they're harvesting down there or something. Bet they're real common up here. Black ones, and I think red ones too. Here's our desert yucca stalk. He fell over. Here's what the seed pods look like when it's done flowering. All right, they'll get inside there. You'll get these seeds. It's like this guy here. All right, and he'll just live right inside there. He'll fall out. He'll plant at the ground, especially if the whole stalk falls. He kind of spreads out his seeds a little bit farther than the mother plant, who also sends out pups as well. So it spreads around the forest of the desert 2 different ways. There's a lot of stuff up here to see. These guys have fallen Cacatillo. Or up here. We got some more blooming agave, or stalking agave down here. Here's some trash. Somebody left. Pick that up. Over here we got some more of our Sahara mustard coming in. Over here, this guy, really coarse leaves, right? So he's a bad guy. He's here we have a black-tailed jackrabbit. Wow. He's called a jackass rabbit because his ears look like jackass donkey ears. It's a jackrabbit. He's a hare, not a rabbit. So his babies, oh, there he goes, are born with full fur. They can move around right when they're born. Here we have a little beaver tail cactus, or beaver tail prickly pear. He's Opuntia basilaris. He's really common, slow growing, bushy, pad shaped, spreading, evergreen, succulent cactus shrub. So he gets like 1 to 2 feet tall. Here's a little guy, like 4 feet wide. So as you're walking down the trail that parallels our train tracks, there's a little right-hand turn you make. Nice, beautiful Cacatillo. Don't miss this turn, otherwise you end up way at the end by the base of the mountains there. But you head up here. This is the road to the palms and the springs and the little abandoned campsite. You could also drive it. I mean, heck, look at this. It's pretty drivable. And here we got some more beaver tail cacti. A couple more bunched together. And they're going to start to flower. And they'll be real nice pretty soon. Here's about 1.5 miles up the trail. It's real easy to ride in your car. Same plants, Acatillos, creosote. I've got our wolf cholla here. Lots of burrow bushes. We saw a little antelope squirrel, a couple jackrabbits. This guy here is a checker fiddleneck, Amsinkia tessellata, and he's called a fiddleneck because the head of his flowers here, his stem, looks like the head of a fiddleneck. These beautiful yellow flowers. They kind of grow in rows, one on the left, one on the right. This guy here is a little better. He's a little bit prickly here. Wow. His leaves are kind of longer below, and they get shorter as you get to the top. These pretty fuzzy flowers. Up on top of the road is Cabezas Springs primitive campground. Underneath, I guess this is a cabeza of the Dos Cabezas. The road's semi-easy, but you have some boulders here in the way. And anywhere you pull off, you can camp if you want. I kind of like over here, but just don't block the road. There's a spot over here. So it's pretty primitive. Here we got a great camping spot right under the boulders. You take the path up here, you wrap around to the springs, but we're not going to get up there today because we spent too much time looking at plants and the shrubs. We're going to head back this way to the little train station. This campsite here is called the Dos Cabezas Springs campground, our primitive campground. You can access it by all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. These guys made it up here. Great little spot here. Here's where you find the Dos Cabezas Springs and the Mortero Palms little meadow. And where you pull off here. But no toilets, no water, no electricity. Just you and a bunch of rocks. So along the trail here, this way is the train station. There's the road, leads up to Dos Cabezas Primitive Campground. And here's a trail. Lots of parking here if you want. Takes you to the Piedras Grandes Cultural Preserve. Up here, you get lots of nice rocks and things, and if you're lucky, you can wrap around the rocks here out to the Mortero Palms. Here's our little chia sage. It turns a little purple instead of green. Well, there you go. That's our loop around the wash. All the way back here. Here we are. So we started way down there towards the windmills, following the railroad. Then we head up here to Los Cabezas Springs, down this road, and we're back here. And we probably hiked about 7 miles total. Got lots of cool videos of our Cinnamon puntias, our creosotes, our burrow bushes. Here, of course, we've got our brittle bush, and even our jojobas. Wow, beautiful. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a great day.